I gotta use what I got, you know, Lance. But it's like, hold on. I mean, let's talk about that though. You know, like what's in that stuff? Oh, I don't know. I can't pronounce it. Who cares? You know, we're all gonna get something anyway. It's like, well, don't just. Hey, it's Lance McGowan here, and today I am going to react to a Reddit post here that is talking about a woman who tried to get their mom to stop drinking doTERRA essential oils or taking them internally. And so this is basically a little conversation you can see here, and then actually when I click on it, because the conversation is extended, it kind of keeps going down and down and down here. So I'm just going to read off their conversation that they had. Because this comes up a lot, you know, the internal use of essential oils, if it's a go, if it's a no-go for people, and why. And then just a little bit of, you know, fact-checking myself and just respond to it all. Okay, so she starts off by saying to her mom, "Mother, I think we need to talk about essential oils and MLM scams. I know kids your age are all getting into doTERRA and Young Living." Kids? Anyway, she says, "I know kids your age are all getting into the doTERRA and Young Living and it works pyramid schemes, but I want you to know that it's okay for you to just say no." Alright, she says, "Don't give in to peer pressure. But seriously, I saw your post about recommending doTERRA and I want to make sure you aren't buying $300 product packages and trying to unload them on your friends. You know, I follow some websites about multi-level marketing scams and doTERRA hits all the marks on the head. Ouch. And if you genuinely enjoy the product, that's fine. But don't be pressured into buying in bulk and never, ever, ever, all caps, ingest it." Alright, so let's just, you know, digest, pun intended, what was just said. Okay, so against MLM scams, pyramid schemes. So the FTC has already talked about this. I'll include the link below. I've already addressed this in other videos that I've done, but basically, as long as a network marketing or MLM company exchanges products, real products, for money, it's not a pyramid scheme. Now, in the past, there have been some bad apples that may have tarnished the name, and what they did was they exchanged money for headcount or money for recruiting. And that's more of a traditional network marketing model, which focuses on recruiting and selling and leading with the business opportunity. And so doTERRA is, from a cultural standpoint, more focused on leading with powerful products and then focused on teaching and sharing, which is a lot different than recruiting and selling and leading with the business opportunity. So that's more of an educational piece that I think, obviously they don't have that. They kind of only seeing one, you know, they got the blinders on here. And then the other thing is talking about buying in bulk. I actually had one of my business builders and her husband was just talking about, you know, you're going to become the best customer, which is going to be yourself, right? And so it's important to be a product of the product, whether you are representing doTERRA as a wellness advocate or if you're a customer and you just like the oils and share them with yourself or your family. It's really important to just use the products and find how they can replace commonly bought items in your home, in your health cabinet, kitchen cabinet, bathroom cabinet, any cabinet, really. And then, yeah, and sometimes what I like to do, or actually all the time what I like to do is just create a wish list so that I make sure I'm not buying as much all at once, and then I can maximize the free product of the month, as well as the specials that typically happen every quarter. And so that way I can kind of spread out my purchases and kind of, you know, move the products in that I need or that I'm running out of or that I'd like to try, and kind of do so in a way that makes sense financially as well, so I'm not maybe making a lot of different orders per month, or that I don't make a huge order per month. I make one that basically helps me replenish what I've run out of or replace what I want to, especially like synthetic or toxic household items. And then they also mention about ingesting oils, and that would be true for almost all essential oils on store shelves, or even that you may buy retail. And also a lot of other network marketing companies that offer oils as well is not approved for internal use. There is no nutritional facts label on it, because that's what doTERRA has. But there's also limited testing or no third-party testing or no way to verify that testing as well to ensure that the quality's there. And so that's another kind of red flag with other brands. doTERRA does the CPTG, or Certified Pure Therapeutic Grade standard, which ensures that you're getting the world's highest quality. And then you can use them internally. I know a woman, a local health practitioner locally, she didn't like the internal use of essential oils, specifically doTERRA, not because they wouldn't work, but it was simply because they're so powerful and concentrated. And so she does acknowledge that they can work. And I always say, you know, the oils won't help with everything, but they can help with something. And so that's going to be keeping in mind as well. The oils aren't a magic wand, but at the same time, they are very powerful. And doTERRA can be taken internally for a lot of their oils. And, you know, if they have a special cap, not going to be approved for internal. If they don't have the nutritional facts on it, not going to be approved for internal. And then you always want to follow specific directions with regards to how to take them internal, which I cover in a lot of my other videos. And so less is more. That's the principle. But specifically, there's definitely good, better, best on how to take it internally. Also bad, worst, and the worst. So let's keep on going though. Just kind of reacting a little bit so far, just responding to this. Okay, so the mom then responded to this. You can kind of see here in the silver part here, LOL, you are hilarious. Thank you, honey. You know, I am very aware of what a multi-level company doTERRA is, but truly believe essential oils can be very beneficial, and I use them for various things, diffusing mostly. But I am not selling it or getting caught up in any of that. And that would be evidence of most people who get into a network marketing company in general, according to Eric Worre, and the numbers from the Direct Selling Association. Basically, most people just become customers, and in doTERRA, it's a wholesale customer, and that's 60 to 80% of people typically just become customers, and that's perfectly fine. It's just people who want to use the products at a discount. There's no problem with that. A smaller percent varies, 20 to 40%, kind of depending on what team you're with or kind of what statistic what year you're looking at. But basically, the very small percent of people actually do it as a business, and that's okay as well. People want to do what they want to do, and I always give people the freedom to choose. Anyway, she goes here, but I'm not selling it or getting caught up in any of that. I have an account just so I can order. I do ingest lemon and lime in my water and peppermint beadlets. doTERRA is a very reputable product, unlike other brands out there that extract the oil in unsafe ways or add stuff in it. A lot of other brands may have alcohol solvents. That's very common because it cheapens the oil, price-wise, but also quality-wise. And then also they can have contaminants, fillers, pesticides, herbicides, other synthetics, or not even have the oil or a high percent of the oil in there that they claim. They could have cassia or kasha, depending on how you want to pronounce it, in place of cinnamon oil because they look very similar in a test or molecularly. So there's a lot of things that can be done to kind of trick the consumer, but doesn't really help with making sure you get the what you paid for. But anyways, she goes here and says, I only posted that because a friend of mine was interested in using them, so I wanted her to see the website. I love that you look out for me. Thank you. And then they go on and say, okay, just looking out, but please don't drink it, even diluted in water, ... So they're really so whenever people feel very passionate about something, it's typically an emotion that is happening. And emotions are okay. It's important that we don't repress them or hide them. Most emotions can stem from anxious feelings or anger. And when these things happen, it's important to combat fears with facts. And notice there wasn't any, they could have, I guess, published articles or said, here's why it's safe to take them internally in these particular amounts. Basically, as long as you're, above 6 years old and you dilute the essential oils some way when you're taking them internally. I usually just even put a drop of peppermint on my hand and lick it off at times in place of gums and mints, or if I just want to feel a little bit alert. Notice I didn't say 5 drops or even 3 drops. One is good, less is more. Or if you're using water, it's 1 drop per 4 ounces or 2 drops per 8 ounces, or it'd be 4 drops per 16 ounces of water. And so that's the dilution amount for when you're drinking the essential oils, doTERRA specifically. And I do have other videos that talk about how oils, specifically doTERRA essential oils, are safe for internal use and why that is. It's funny because what's not mentioned here, and this is a lot of times, where people can get so focused on don't take essential oils internally, and I would agree with them for most other brands, but when it's talking about doTERRA, and specifically in this case, they also aren't looking at, well, what's all the other stuff that you're eating that's not any better for you either. Like, what about processed foods? What about the hormones, steroids, or other chemicals that are in meats, and you eat those? Or they may be like, well, I eat healthy. Okay, well, what about when you know, what do you take any shots? Like, or what about your alcohol consumption or secondhand smoke? Or, I mean, what about the personal care products and toxins that are used in there, or the cleaning products you use? Or, I mean, you just keep going on and on and on about, and they'll be like, oh, well, that's just stuff you can't help, Lance. Well, I got to use what I got, you know, Lance. But it's like, hold on, I mean, let's talk about that though, you know, like, what's in that stuff? Oh, I don't know, I can't pronounce it, who cares? You know, we're all gonna get something anyway. It's like, well, don't just downplay what you bought because it's toxic, but then try to look at what I have just because it's powerful and potent and concentrated, and not like that. You know, like, let's have a reasonable discussion. Let's combat our fears with facts and really get to a solution that makes sense. But anyways, that is a pipe dream, and most people aren't even probably going to do that. That just is more of my idealistic thinking, I think. But anyways, we'll continue. The mother then says, okay, I just started doing that, but won't anymore. Looks like I need to do a little research. And then the child here says, nothing beats the real think. I think they meant to say thing. They have lemons and limes in Oregon, right? And so being a little facetious there, and basically saying you can use the actual lemons and actual limes, and you can, but that requires buying them, storing them, making sure they don't rot, making sure you cut them, you use them, you store them when the juice is there. And then the oils are going to be very concentrated. They're not going to have any nutritional value. They're going to have therapeutic value, and they're going to be able to help your body systems and your skin and your cells and a lot of stuff. But there is no nutrients in the oils. There's no calories. And it is a very convenient way to get that, you know, health benefit that can be stored. And typically citrus oils can be stored for 5+ years in the bottle. They may just shrink a little bit because there may be some oxidation, you know, that may come through the cap. But otherwise, they're still going to be very potent. And then you got non-citrus oils that can last 10+ years. And so the oils have a really, really long shelf life. It's because the nature, the biological nature of themselves is designed to be preservative and help your body, and there's so many like benefits of them. Bottom line of all this is, if somebody doesn't want you to do something, it doesn't matter how many facts you give them, they're still not going to want you to do something. And the concept is basically presuppositions, where basically you have in your mind what something should be. Anybody that contradicts that is automatically wrong, which is not correct. I think a more reasonable approach that the child of the mom here could use is like, okay, well, let's look into this together, right? I know you're going to do research, and the mom just kind of, you know, just seceded and said like, hey, okay, fine, I won't do it internally because you told me not to. And that feels more like peer pressure. Like I would never want to do that to anyone else, and I don't like it when other people do that to me. If you're going to present facts, please present facts from both sides of the coin, not just one of the arguments, so I can make a more educated decision. And don't just show me facts that only highlight the good of your argument and only the bad of somebody else. It's important to show, try to be balanced. You know, try to show the pros and cons of the other argument that you're trying to disprove or whatever, and show the pros and cons of your own argument, and try to make them balanced based on what you can find. Sometimes you can't always find as much, but I think that's a very objective, reasonable way to approach things and give people information that empowers them, but still at the end of the day have your own opinion. You can still say, here's the pros and cons of internal use of essential oils from, you know, people that are for it, people that are against it, but ultimately I am against it, or ultimately I am for it. And I think I personally respect that much more and find that person a lot more credible. And if they actually presented me with that information, I would appreciate that, because I value that and I'd be ready for it. But some people aren't, you know, some people don't like the truth or want to hear it, or they don't even want to seek understanding. But it looks like the mom was open to it. She says, hey, I want to do my own research. But anyways, that's kind of my take on it all. Like, whenever you hear something, always look to see if they're presenting both sides. And when somebody is presenting both sides, see if they're trying to have a more balanced pros and cons of what they're saying, and try to see what their ultimate intention is. They clearly said, hey, I'm against you taking them internally, so okay, boom, you know where they stand. Now I'd say, show me the pros and cons, the research of for it and against it, and then I will hold you as more credible in my eyes. I'd be pretty blunt to say that. I'm comfortable with telling family members that now. Obviously, you may not be, but I've just been teaching and sharing about essential oils for so long that I just call people out on the carpet. I do so, you know, brutally honest, but exceedingly kind. I just tell like it is. I just straight shoot it. Like, okay, you have where you stand. Let's see the facts. Not just that supports you, but let's see the other side too. And don't just give me all the bad stuff. Okay, I want you to do as much research as I've already done. And I'm going to end with this. There's a saying, Charlie Munger says it, but you basically, I'm going to paraphrase this quote. He basically says, whenever somebody presents you with something, you want to know more about their side than they do. And when you do, you have more leverage. And not that you should use that leverage to win or be right, but it's, hey, I'm coming to the table with as much facts as I can. What are you coming to the table with besides a whole bunch of passion and hot steam coming out of your ears? You know what I mean? Like, for real, like, tone down a little bit the steam coming out of the ears, and let's just try to keep it fact-based, and let's try to be objective. You can still have your opinion at the end of the day. I know you got an agenda. So do I. I want to take oils internally from doTERRA. Let's figure out how I can do that. And if you don't want me to, let's help you understand how they are safe. You know, and let's talk about times where, you know, people have maybe used too much internally, or they put it in the wrong spot, or, you know, there are times where it wasn't okay, but most times it's because of user error or misuse, not because of the oils, the quality of the oils. The quality is high, so it's going to almost always come down to user error, meaning somebody used it too much or put it in the wrong spot or didn't dilute, or, you know, that's what it's going to be. Very rarely will somebody have a sensitivity. That is possible, but that's very, very rare. That's like low single digits. So so that's also something to keep in mind as well. Anyways, hopefully that helps. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Make sure to hit subscribe for future video updates, and check out some of the links in the description below so you can continue to get your learn on. There's definitely lots more stuff that you can continue the conversation with, and we'll see you in the next video.